What does victory look like for Israel in this? I know we're still sort of early in the war, but it looks like the victory is assured. But what from your point of view, is victory for Israel?
Victory is the absence of an entity in Tehran, which is a terrorist entity, exporter of terror, where they have no capability of producing nuclear weapons, ballistic missiles, or supporting proxies around the Middle East that destabilize and spread mayhem and murder. That's victory.
Well, after the June attack, I said the real target and the real weapon of war here is the state itself. It's not their nuclear ambition or those facilities that were struck. It's them. They're the architect of Hezbollah, of Hamas, of the Houthis, and until they're removed, you're not ever going to see peace in the Middle East. So, in terms of that victory, is it needed to have boots on the ground, and if so, is Israel prepared to do that?
What's needed are boots on the ground, but Iranian boots. Look, this is very different than Iraq or Afghanistan or really any other war that's taken place over the past decades. The Iranian people want change. 80% of the Iranian people don't identify with this regime. And they're rising up. I mean, we saw what they did last month. Tens of thousands were willing to give their lives for freedom. So boots on the ground will be there, but they're going to come from the Iranian people themselves. Yeah, there are many minorities that have had the boot of the Ayatollahs on their necks now for 47 years, and they're ready to rise up and take charge. And what we need is to move into a phase of a transitional government that will be comprised of the various opposition parties, the various minorities, until they can actually move the country into free and open elections, let's say, in a year's time or so. But the first part of this objective is to bring this regime down. It's regime collapse, not regime change at this point, but regime collapse. Because you can't have Ayatollahs. These people are believers. They believe that everyone across the globe has to come under the boot of their brand of Islam. This is not Venezuela. It's not a bunch of thugs that are selling drugs. These are people who believe that you and I have to change our belief, and if we don't, we have to be subservient to them.
Well, it's interesting that they formed an alliance with Venezuela, and that, what is the influence of this Islamic ideology in the leadership of Venezuela? But leaving that issue aside, just the sheer penetration of the ideology within the country, just as we've seen with Hamas in Gaza, that it just seems the civilian population wants to help them hold captives, wants to help them disguise the tunnels, doesn't seem to have a big problem with the hospitals and the schools being used as fronts, and even their own children being offered up in sacrifice to this ideology. How deep does it go? I'm hearing reports there are over 2,000 Republican Guard generals. The clerics are trying to elect a new Ayatollah. Is it really possible to change Iran?
It absolutely is. As I said, only 20% of the population identifies with this regime, but 20% in a country of over 90 million people is significant. Yes, they have a huge military edifice, but it's cracking. I mean, the good news this morning, Gordon, is that we're seeing cracks in their chain of command. Once we took off the head of the snake in that initial strike, and we continue to pound them. I mean, as we're talking, IDF jets are pounding Tehran, the command centers of the IRGC, of the internal security apparatus. I mean, they have some 30 organizations that are dedicated to keeping this tyranny over the heads of the Iranians. But once the cracks widen into wider chasms, the opposition is going to coalesce, unify, and hopefully begin to take over the streets. We see it happening, and some indicators are, for example, they have not appointed a successor yet, number one. Number two, they haven't buried Khamenei yet. They're in complete disarray. And the wildfire of missiles around the entire region into their neighbors, into the Gulf states that have become our real allies in this battle against Iran. And they're firing of missiles into Azerbaijan, a country of 10 million Shiite Muslims, into Turkey, into Europe, attacking Cyprus. This is an indication of their beginnings of desperation. So that's actually a good sign.